Imagine this. You go in for a routine checkup, expecting to talk sleep schedules and maybe ask about cradle cap. And instead, you leave with your baby in a harness and a specialist referral. Today's episode is about what happens when early motherhood throws you a curveball, when nothing goes how you pictured and you're just trying to hold it together while figuring it out in real time. Welcome to Mom's Guide to Finding Herself, where we share stories of side hustles and surviving while parenting young children. I'm your host, Chrissy Bold. Let's make motherhood less lonely and help you find joy in being you again. When we talk about early motherhood, we often picture the universal stuff. Sleepless nights, diaper blowouts, wondering when you last drank water. But for some of us, the journey gets a little more complicated. Maybe you've had to navigate a medical diagnosis or make impossible decisions while still healing from birth yourself. That's the space we're stepping into today. Brittany is a retired elementary school teacher turned stay-at-home mom and the creative force behind the Instagram account @Teachers2Toddlers. She's known for her simple, enriching activities for little ones, but today we're going beyond the activity bins. Brittany shares what it was like to learn her daughter had hip dysplasia at just 2 months, the roller coaster of conflicting medical advice, and how she navigated surgery, casting, and recovering, all while adjusting to new motherhood. Her story is real, it's raw, and it's filled with moments that every mom will feel in your gut, even if your path looks a little different. Thank you so much for joining me, Brittany.
Thank you for having me.
Your early motherhood journey was not necessarily just like everybody else's. You had another challenge that you were facing for your daughter and your early parenting. Tell me about that.
Yes. So at 2 months old, my daughter was diagnosed with hip dysplasia. We went in for her routine checkup at 2 months, and the doctor just noticed that her hips were clicking. And so kind of just went down the road of getting an ultrasound. Oh, yeah, she has hip dysplasia. She was braced in harnesses, braces. We've kind of been through a lot with it. But yeah, so, it was hard to have a 2-month-old and then in a brace or a harness, you can't, I couldn't just hold her or, like a normal, hold, squeeze her and hold her. She had a harness on. So she kind of her, her legs, her wide frog position harness. So yeah, that was hard. And then once again, not having family close by, it was just my husband and I. And so, adjusting to no sleep. I mean, having a baby that you might swaddle, I couldn't do that. So how can a baby that wants to have her arms swaddled down but is in a brace with her legs, like a frog, how do you do that? So thank goodness, I guess, for Facebook. I joined a group for hip dysplasia on there, met a really great mom that I became close friends with, and, we were able to just talk through it all. So it's the crazy thing with hip dysplasia is that I feel like every child's case is kind of different, and every doctor or orthopedic that we saw told us something different. It was very hard to know what's right to do for your daughter, or for your child. You just don't know what to do, and it's your first child. I didn't know. And so I guess my biggest, if any parents out there have hip dysplasia, it's becoming more, I think, commonly known. I guess with studies and everything. I mean, I just want to put myself out there that if you are going through this, please reach out to me. I'm happy to talk to you. I'm happy to be a support person for you, because it's just something that it's hard with so many unknown answers and doctors telling you different things. And, you have doctors who want to do surgeries right away, which, on a 6-month-old or 3 month, it's hard. That's hard to see your child have to be put under for surgery and then in a cast. It's a hard adjustment. I'm happy to just share my experience, more in, it's something we're still going through. So it's just kind of an in-depth, 2-year, I guess, highs and lows of it. But anyways, if any parent is dealing with hip dysplasia or has questions, please feel free to reach out to me. I am so happy to talk to you about it, support you with it. I think it's just something that as moms and parents, we just need to support one another on with everything. But I just know with my going through it, I just felt like it was hard to have anyone relate to it. Once you find that one person who has gone through it or is going through it, it's just easier to talk with them about it.
Now, can you tell us, I hear the words hip dysplasia all the time because I love baby wearing. So, I feel like that's a common place where you hear the term. Can you tell us what hip dysplasia is?
So hip dysplasia is when your child's like hips are not in socket. So my daughter's right hip was mildly out of socket. So basically, yeah, her hip just wasn't, it was popping out of socket. So all of a sudden when she was 2 months old, I like just sat her down on the counter, like holding her, like just,
Yeah.
and she was like bawling. And I was like, oh my God, what did I do to her? Like, oh my gosh. And I didn't know it at the time, but I popped her hip out of socket. And so it goes in and out, like, it doesn't, like, you know what I mean? It just, like, hurt her, obviously. Now, like, I guess it's just your hips are out of socket and, like, some kids don't have, like, a femoral head. It's just, like, the degree of it, of, like, the degree that it's out of socket, do they need surgery? Is bracing gonna work? Do they have no femoral head? So, like, currently with my daughter, her hips currently look okay, like, they're in the right position, but with kids' hips, there's cartilage in between, like, your hip and your socket, and so until they're, like, 5, you wait for that to, like, solidify, and that's what will, like, keep it in there. So that's currently what we're watching right now, is to make sure that that closing and it's still staying, like, in socket.
Right.
So
So is she now at higher risk from other kids for a dysplasia to happen again? Or is it now just something that you're like everybody should keep an eye on?
Like, so with our case, it happens, I guess, a lot with, like, firstborn and girls and, like, my descent. So I guess that we just had, like, 3 strikes against us,
Sure.
like, but it is higher in firstborn girls.
Right.
Sometimes babies who are breech also is, like, another
Yeah.
thing. I've seen cases where babies come out right away and have to be braced, which is, like, super, upsetting, like, their hip is just, like, on completely out of socket. And so there's just so many different cases of it. And then so many different doctors, like, theories of it and how to heal it. And so my husband and I have been to, like, 4 different doctors of, like, switching different things. I guess as a mom, like, be an advocate for your child, like, you know what I mean? But yeah, I guess if you're ever curious at your 2-month checkup, make sure that the hips aren't clicking. Big sign. The sooner you get it diagnosed, like, they say better outcomes. And then I think, like, later signs are, like, if they're not walking with the milestone, like, that could be a case. But I'm not really sure because we got ours thankfully diagnosed very early. So thankfully to our pediatrician who said something. I wouldn't have known otherwise, but anyways, just check as of, if you have a baby at 2 months.
That's great advice. Now, I guess my question was about like for you moving forward. So you're saying she's going to be monitored until she's 5. Is it
Oh,
like
yeah.
it's still healing for her, or is she just at higher risk of it happening again? Like what's that?
So it's crazy. Your hips can, like, regress.
Okay.
And so her hip, like, was doing great when she was 1.5 last November. And then we went for a checkup, and her checkups are just like a hip x-ray. And so then we found out that she actually regressed. And so they want to do surgery again. Surgeries are hard on little kids. We went to other doctors at that point, got other opinions. And so we've actually did a bracing method, which they said only had a less than 10% chance of working, and it's working.
Great.
So, like, I guess my biggest takeaway for moms is, like, even if it is a small percentage and, like, your heart feels like that's what you want to do, like, stick it out and try it and do it if you can. We've still been dealing it with for a year now, but it is better than having her be, put under for a surgery. That was just very hard on our family. So yeah, we're monitoring it. She goes for checkups every 6 months. It's something that she'll continue to be monitored for. I don't really know in how long. It's something I'm learning still. And then other things that, like, so that's why I had her join, like, my gym classes is, like, all that stuff works on strength. Thankfully, we have stairs here. So, like, stairs are great. Like, any, like, physical, like, riding a bike, like, all of that stuff is really good to develop that hip strength. So that's kind of, like, what we work on is, like, just, like, a lot of active play. The only thing we don't let her do is jump on a trampoline, which is hard because she wants to. So it's, like, we kind of just, like, okay, like, a little few bounces, like, okay, we have to get off. So it's kind of hard to explain to her, like, unfortunately, our hips, like, aren't, I don't I don't want something to happen to them. Like, I would hate for, like, her to jump on a trampoline and it pop out a sock, you
Right.
know?
Not
So,
worth it.
yeah,
Yeah.
we stay away until, like, we're in the clear, and that might not be until she's 5 or 6,
Yeah.
and that's okay. But, yeah, so
Yeah.
kinda how we're dealing with it is one checkup at a time.
Yes. Oh, that's so hard. How old was she for that first surgery?
6
Yeah.
months.
Wow.
Yeah, so, yeah, with the surgery that it's not the she's in a half body, like, full basically, it was, like, right here all the way down to her legs casted, so, yeah, that was a big mom did not know how to,
Wow.
change a diaper in a cast, so
Yeah.
that was fun.
How long was she in the cast for?
3 months.
Whoa. So, like,
Yeah.
you're still in the zone where you don't even really know how to, like, bathe a baby normally anyway.
Yeah,
Like,
I
that's
know.
that's already the challenge. Never mind with
Yeah.
cast on.
No. Yeah. And, like, it's sad, like, I would cry,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
like, "Oh, I can't give her a bath," but then at the end of the day, you know what, like, I always tell myself I'm
Yeah.
grateful. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we're here. It's okay. I can give her a bath again. It's fine. Like, you know what I mean? It's just with anything,
Mhm.
as a mom, it's like, it's okay.
Yeah.
So just always trying to find the best, like, positive from it. But
Yeah.
we made
It sounds like you did a great job getting through that, but wow, so hard, and thank you for sharing all of that information
Yeah.
because it's important, and just like everything else, we don't have a huge frame of reference for things until they happen. So it's nice
Mhm.
for people to have a little bit of background if they ever hear that from a doctor, like what might it look like? What might it mean? And what the other side of it looks like. Like, I've seen your pictures of your daughter, she's running around and playing and
Yeah.
jumping and living a very active
Yeah.
life.
Very active. She is something. But yeah, it is hard in that moment of like, I remember when she was 2 months and we went in for the doctor and then all of a sudden, like, it's like, oh, nope. You go in for a doctor's appointment and like 5 minutes later, your daughter's in like a brace and you're just like, whoa. Like in that, her first harness stayed on for 6 weeks and you couldn't take it off. So it was like, whoa, like I can't give her a bath. Like I can't, like, it was just like, whoa, like
It
it
happened that
happened so
fast.
fast. You don't have any like background knowledge. You know what I mean? The doctor just did it like that. And you're like, whoa, hold on.
Right. You go in
So,
thinking that your biggest issue is gonna be putting them back in clothes at the end of the visit, and you're leaving with a break.
yeah. Yeah. And then, you're like, oh gosh, she doesn't fit in the car seat. Whoa, what? Like, it's like all these things. So, yeah, it was a lot of an adjustment the first year, but that's okay.
What did you do with the
Ye
car seat?
So, we had to she could barely fit in, like, her Nuna, like, baby car
Mm,
seat. She was okay, but then when she got casted, that obviously was not gonna happen. So I think it's called Diano? Am I saying that correctly? I don't
no.
know the brand. Anyways, they're like slim car seats, but they also have no sides. So we were able to actually put her in there because it doesn't have like the sides are flat basically.
Right.
So yeah, she's been in that and then we've kept it. So she kind of just transitioned to a normal car seat like right at 6 months. And like half the time the hospitals are like, we don't have a car seat for you to take her home.
Right.
And you're like, wait,
Right.
what? Like,
They don't have
you
anything, yeah.
know? Yeah. You're like, oh, thanks.
Right, what am I gonna do? Yeah,
I have to leave the baby home now in the cast. Cool.
yeah. Wow, and
But yeah.
how did you diaper her? I'm curious.
Oh, yeah. Another thing, hip dysplasia moms, I will talk to you all day long. Okay, so in a or a spica cast, and this happens too if like kids break their femurs,
Yeah.
they'll be in a spica cast as well, but they make like a hole,
Oh,
you know,
yep.
in the diaper area.
Yeah.
And I would have to like push the diaper like up and get my hands up there and then like in the front as well. The beginning of surgery, your body's like swollen. So like it was very hard. But basically the diaper, you cut off the edges so that you can't like clasp it.
Okay.
So it just like lays in
Yep.
there. And then you just pray that there's no accidents because
Right.
there's nothing you can do.
Right, like, what do they recast after a blowout? Like, what do they do?
No, because if you recast, you have to actually be put back you get put
Oh,
back under
no.
because when a baby is so little, they don't stay still. So, yeah, it's Yeah,
Did he just
you don't want any accidents.
Yeah.
So I guess, like, thankfully, we were okay with no blowouts or anything, but, like, I have heard of it happening, and it's just, like, that was one thing I was always like, "Oh my gosh, please, please, please." But yeah, we made it.
You made it. You are a super mom. This is an incredible part of your story. Like, I feel like this is, like, something that you might not give yourself enough credit for because, wow, that's a lot to go through.
Yeah, it was a lot, but, you know, the better part, like, at the end of the day, it made me a stronger
Yeah.
mom, and I think that's what I needed. I guess I felt like I was ready to be a mom, and it was like, "No, you need this now." So it's like, "Okay,
Right.
that's we're gonna do it."
Here's the challenge. Ready, set, go.
But that's okay. She's my daughter's, like, just she's great.
Yeah.
She's so happy. She runs around. Just started loving the scooter, so
Oh, cute.
we're, like, constantly on a scooter anymore.
I love that. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm sure that when she was 6 months old that you might have that might have been a fear of yours, like, she's never gonna be on that scooter, she's never gonna be doing these things, and now here she is.
Yeah. It was crazy because she didn't learn how to, like, sit, honestly, like, sit in like a baby that will they usually learn that at, like, 5, 6 months
Right?
at least, right, to hold themselves up and sit. She learned at a year, so it was just, like, crazy. I guess she started walking at 18 months, so
Yeah.
she caught it once she started learning how to, like, crawl and
Yeah.
everything, like, I think crawling was at 15 months or something. It was just, like, once she started, she got it.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it definitely was crazy to, you know, I guess be a little behind, but that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely. It totally is. I think that's one of the things that any mom that's dealing with something that is delayed of some sort should know is your kid will get there in one way or
Mhm.
another. It might take their own timeline. It might look different than other kids, but they're going to be amazing in so many ways.
Yeah, exactly.
Tell everybody where they can find you and your amazing ideas.
You can find me at Teacher to Toddlers on Instagram.
Go check out Brittany's page. She's got so many ideas and send her a message because she will definitely answer and would love to chat with you for sure. Have you ever felt like motherhood is just one giant emotional whiplash? One minute you're laughing because your toddler is singing a song that they just wrote at the top of their lungs, and the next you're crying in the laundry room because you can't remember the last time you saw your friends in real life. Well, stick around because in the next episode, we're talking about the mental and emotional ricochet of mom life and how to ride the waves without completely losing your mind or your car keys.